Okay, now we have Brian and Masa. We're going to go through the Newaza portion of our yellow belt Namido Jujitsu. Remember, there's three areas, major areas of combat, which is going to be your Newaza, which is your striking, your Nagiwaza, which is your throwing, and then of course your Newaza, which is your groundwork, your grappling. And we're going to show the basic hold downs or pins or positions in this little series right here. So I'm going to have Masa, and Masa's going to be demonstrating the pins, and he will start out from the throw, and we'll go to the Uki Gatami, which is your floating hold. Go ahead and throw in, Masa. Now notice an Uki Katami is Katami means hold, Uki means floating. In this situation, we're using the gi. It doesn't matter if it's gi or no gi. But Masa controls, I call this impact control because it keeps your opponent from being able to turn to you and go guard. Also, it allows you to have weight on his ribs and on his floating ribs so you can control it. Also, Masa, you notice, has a grip on his lower right pant leg and also on his right sleeve. What Masa is doing, he can also grab the lapel. But what he's doing is he's creating a two-way action. He's pulling up on his opponent while at the same time he's forcing all of his weight down on Uki on his diaphragm. And as you know, pressing the diaphragm muscle will also affect the breathing of your opponent. So it doesn't matter, even if Uki starts trying to move around. Go ahead and move a little bit. And if he does, he can stay with his knee on him and he can just float on top of it. No matter where he moves, Masa can maintain control. This is called an Uki Gatami. And a lot of times this is good for going to an arm bar. He can use it to strike his opponent. He can also transition to another grappling hold, which is what we're going to move into next. He's going to float into what we call a Kesagatami from here. He's going to maintain grip with his left hand. He's going to slide with his right hand around and go ahead and slip off and put his right hip in the armpit of Uke, which is his opponent. Notice that he has gripped around Uke's head, and he's got his thumb in the high collar, and he has lifted his shoulder up off the ground by in wrapping his left hand around the elbow of his Uke. He's got the upper portion of his body in a scarf hold. That's where he gets his name, is like the scarves around the monks back in the old days. The hand goes around the head, the arm goes around the elbow of the opponent, and he's wrapped around his upper body. He sets up high into his armpit, and he's got his head down. The reason why his head is down is if he were to rock too far back, rock back a little bit, Masa, rock back. If he were to rock too far back, Brian can reach up with his left hand and push Masa's head down, or get control of his head, or try to put his hand over, or escape the hold. So what Masa wants to do is put all his weight forward, and he wants to open his base up. Notice his right leg is off, and right behind the shoulder of his Uke, and he also has his left foot posted. This way, Masa can also push off that left foot and lift his butt up off the ground and put more weight on his opponent's diaphragm. Again, we're attacking the diaphragm. The more that opponent moves, he has to breathe, so therefore he depletes the oxygen from him, so he has to, it's sort of like a choke, but he's got to attack that portion of the body. And what he does is if Uke starts moving around, he just moves with it. Go ahead and move. Doesn't matter, he still moves with it. He just don't ever allow his body to break the center line plane of his opponent where he can be breached over. Okay? Now, let's get back to the center again, guys. And I'm going to have the cameraman just kind of move off some to get just some different angles for you guys. But now what I want him to do is if his opponent starts pulling his left or his right hand away from him, he just automatically goes to what we call a katakatame, which you may hear it in MMA or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, we call arm triangle. We call it a katakatame, which means shoulder hold. Go back to your scarf hold, Nasa. What he's going to do, I'll go ahead and adjust for the camera. He's going to go ahead and go to his scarf hold, and when he makes a transition, what he's going to do is just place his opponent's arm across his face. Okay, and then he's going to drop his head tight behind the opponent's arm so that he can maintain control. Notice his hand grip. His hand grip, there's different types of grips you can go. I like to have it where my thumb is up, where the bone of my hand causes a little bit more of a wedge on the back of the neck. But he's got a good hold there. He can hold him in this position, but to make it tighter, he's going to scissors his legs and change his base by putting his hips down. And also on the balls of his feet, he's going to rock forward and put his forehead to the floor. Notice that he has to tap out because this is creating a restriction on his flow of his carotid arteries. Also, he's going to transition. We're going to move like in a clock manner. He's going to reach out with his left hand, pull his opponent's arm down, and slide it back to where he can take his right foot and scissor over to block the opponent's arm. He's going to let go of his head with his right arm and slide down to his hip, and he's going to clock all the way around to where he's in what we call a north-south position. The north-south position, he's going to drop his hips on his head. He's going to, some people will call this a smother hold. This is called a kami shiho gatame, which means upper four-quarters hold, four-directional hold. He's going to have his elbows in the armpits, and he's going to maintain control of the opponent's belt or his gi. Okay? Now, when the transition continues, notice that he's got his legs spread completely wide for his base. He's going to reach with his left hand and pull his opponent's left arm back. He's going to shoot his right knee through to trap it, and he's going to continue his walk around to a yoko shiho gatame, which means a side four-directional hold. Okay, there are various pins. You will learn buddy pins to all of these. This is just a basic yoko shiho gatame, which is a side four-directional hold. Okay, notice that Masa has got his elbow to the ear of his opponent. He's got his right knee to the ear of his opponent with his opponent's arms up high above it. The reason why we do that is to keep the opponent from being able to reach down and gain space, and we want to be able to close up the gaps and make sure that there's no space in this pin. Okay? So what happens is this will keep him from being able to punch you or to be able to do anything. The tighter you can make this, the better. Also, you keep your knees, everything tight so he can't move to a different position.